Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Less Known Classic. This is episode number 260. I think it's 2609 and Doubleshot 2503. Now, the first thing we're talking about here is the rest of the issues I was collecting the trade for Punisher War Journal by Carl Potts and Jim Lee. I've already discussed the first 8 in the Punisher Classic book, which I discussed previously, so we're reviewing the rest of the stuff. They also collected a short story from Punisher War Journal, but Punisher A number 2, which I've discussed already, so I'm moving on. I'm not going to talk about that here. So, in these issues, in issue number 9, teams of Blackwood and the Shadow Masters take on the Sunrise Society. Yeah, they're a group of characters from the pages of Shadow Masters. They're a spin-off book of this book. Yeah, and this was actually, in a way, they debuted the same month as Shadow Masters number 1. But they only appeared in this book here, and they appeared in 2 issues of Punisher, and they mostly appeared in a couple issues of Shadow Masters. Yeah, it's like basically Punisher just team with the Shadow Masters to take on them. Yeah. Yeah, and basically the Shadow Masters made their debut in issue 8, and they also appeared in this issue here. They mostly appeared back in between this book and their own book. If you're curious, how long was their book? It was a quick 4-issue miniseries. Yeah. It's just basically a bunch of ninjas, basically, who are allies of Punisher. That's kind of basically what I describe them. Now, Punisher, when he appeared in issue 9, he appeared, of course, in issue 8. But in issue number 10, him and Microchip, who's back in this book, takes on a guy called Sniper. Yeah. This is a guy who they took his gun from early issues. He's back here in this issue here. He pops up one more time after this in this book, in issue 21, and then he does a miniseries, Wolverine the Punisher Damage Evidence, and that's it for him. Yep, that's it. Issue number 11, he's, dealing with basically, like, he's going to cover some camp, military camp, and then I'm skipping over 13, 14, mainly because they're tied into acts of vengeance. That's mostly what they are. 14, teams up with Spider-Man to take on Neo-Nazi. Spider-Man himself last appeared, with the Punisher in Amazing Spider-Man 330. His next appearance right after this one issue is appearing in the next issue. Eric Herman. Yeah, he appears just for these 2 issues, and that's it for him. Yeah, I like Punisher and Spider-Man take on Neo-Nazi? Sounds awesome. Yep. And then in issue number 16, we have debut of Cheryl Roosevelt Pike, who just a one-shot character, and take on this other guy who appears as one issue. By the way, this is written by Mike Barron. Yes, issue 16 is by Mike Barron. You're thinking, wait, wasn't issue 15 written by Carl Potts? Yes, it was. Jim Lee was not on the book at that point. 17. Punisher goes to Hawaii. He also basically takes some guy's stuff and basically leaves him in the jungle for everybody. Yep. Issue 18 is continuing the very same story. Is basically him it's basically still him in Hawaii, and one of the Shadow Masters appeared in this issue. And then Jim Lee back in the book. And finally, issue 19 is basically a woman named Edith. And this was her final appearance. She's here for these 3 issues, and that's it for her. Yep. Yeah, and of course, still working with the Shadow Masters. Well, basically one member's like Riki. Yeah, just some old man who appears in the book. Yeah, he basically was just a character appearance only in this very book. This was his last ever appearance. Yep. He didn't appear again, but for some reason he showed associated with Shadow Masters. The Shadow Masters themselves basically were, this is kind of weird for them. After this one issue that one of the members appear in, they basically next appear in Mark Presents 162, and that's basically it for them. Excuse me. Yeah, it's basically a story for the character Mace from the pages of Venom. Yeah, so I might do like a set, maybe when I put one, because soon I'm gonna put one book in hiatus for a bit to, I might briefly replace it with a Shadow Masters miniseries. Yep, I'll probably talk about that one. That's gonna be quite interesting to talk about that one. I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna do that one. But what ranking do I give this Punisher War Journal? I give these issues a 9 out of 10. Next up, oh boy, quite possibly one of the worst books of 2017. Well, next up we have Generation X Volume 2, Survival of the Fittest. Written by Christina Strand, artwork by Eric Kuda, who does only issue 7, and then the original artist who did the first few issues is back. Alec Carapino, who does 8 and 9, and here's a shocker, 85-87. You're thinking, wait, what's with 85-87? What's up with that? Marvel Legacy. That's simply the reason for it. Now, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening here in these issues here. I love the writing here. All the storytelling is really good. It's just the artwork is atrocious in the final few issues of this book. And even Lobdell understood why this book got axed after the period of time it did. Yeah, Scott Lobdell, the guy who wrote the original volume. Yeah, because I showed him the artwork for the first issue. Even he agreed the book was atrocious. So then, of course, issue number 7, excuse me. Yeah, only 3 issues under this volume 2, and then it's back to triple numbering. Yeah. Also, we have Cade Kilgore back in this book. Yes, Cade Kilgore. You're thinking, who the heck is Cade Kilgore? Cade Kilgore was a character for his X-Men Schisms. Number 1. He is Jason Aaron creation. Yep. And here's the thing. When he appeared in this book, for especially this issue here, in the previous issue, last time he appeared was actually in the final issue of Wolverine X number 12. And after this issue, he would not return again to Marauders. Yep, became a recurring character. He basically became a recurring villain in Marauders. Also guest starred in Black Cat, issue Wolverine. And his last no appearance to date was actually in the final issue of Marauders Volume 1, which I had previously reviewed that. That was actually a really good run there. So, this was the last thing talking about for Cade Kilgore. Like, Cade Kilgore was a guy who basically just overthrew his father by... Well, here's the thing. So, his father was basically taking his flying limousine to someplace, and his son was like, Cade, what are you doing? I thought you were in school. It was like, yeah, Father, I'm taking over your company, and, your secretary would actually like if you stop basically hitting her rear end and stop sexually harassing her. So basically got rid of him by opening the car door and dropping his own father out and killing him. So yeah, this little boy murdered his father because he was a jerk. Yeah, and also the fact that he later became also the part of the inner circle for the Hellfire Club. Yes, he did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we also have the Ferris twins here. Electromix is here too. Skin, Typhoid Mary. It's a big party. We have Black Tarantula, Paladin, Tombstone, Crossfire, the Zell brothers. Like, it's a big party. And it's weird to okay, we have him. The whole point of him being here is that he is reminding Quentin that he's kind of the one who gave him the money he has. And The writer, of course, decides to play up with the fact that Andrea are in a sexual relationship because, it's like, we have Andreas just stroking his chicken's cheek, and he's like, it's like, yeah, plays the fact these two are in a sexual relationship, a brother and sister duo, and the fact that apparently any guy who attempted to fall for her, basically her brother basically killed him, because it's like he's like the only guy for her, and it's like, ugh. Now, the thing is, the Fittest twins are a creation of Chris Claremont. Yes, I'm not sure if it was his idea for them to become an incestuous couple. I don't know. But it could have been somebody else. But yeah, they're in an incestuous relation. They're brother and sister duo who sleep together. That is the thing with these twins. They sleep together a lot. And if you're curious, do they return after this issue? Yeah, do the Fittest twins return after this one issue? Oh, by the way, does Barry von Striker care the fact two of his kids are doing each other? Nah, he doesn't give a damn. Yeah, okay, so prior to this issue, they actually last appeared in the issue of Black Panther. As in Black Panther Volume 6. The Tai Nagakoda's run. Yep, that was the last time they appeared. And after in these two issues, they also pop up next in Marauders for a few issues, and pop in X-Corps, and then their final no appearance to date would be in Bishop War College. Yep, the Bishop War College. Yeah, that's basically the next and last no appearances in that one book. As for the other characters, of course, you have Hammerhead here. He, of course, still appears in Spider-Man. Yep. If you're curious, like, okay, what was the next appearance after this one appearance in Generation X, which seems kind of weird that he appeared in, of all books, an X-Men book? Yes, it's weird, but it's like, it's a massive party because socialites. Like, okay. And, yeah, basically, this is just basically him. Next appearance will be in Daredevil 195. His most recent appearance was actually in issue 40 of Amazing Spider-Man. You're thinking, okay, how about the character Arclight, who was, I believe she was part of the Marauders, the original one. Yeah, she was. You're thinking, okay, what was basically her next appearance right after this one comic? Uncanny X-Men Volume 5, number 18. Which came out just a couple years later. Yeah, just roughly 2 years later. That's when her next appearance was. And then after that, she appears in the Helion's book, and that's been it for her. Yep. By the way, that issue of Helion she appeared in, issue 4, that was released back in 2020. Yeah, which was roughly 3 years ago. And that was the last time anybody saw this woman. Yep. Yeah, her appearing here is fine, but Hammerhead is weird. What about Electromix? Yeah, more socialite stuff here with her. She, of course, basically, she basically appeared here in between appearances in the pages of the Miss America comic. Yep, and after this, she returned to Miss America, which appeared pretty much rest that run until the final penultimate issue. Her last appearance, it was actually in the last 2 issues of Fantastic Four, Volume 6, during the Day of Prowess issues. Where they revealed that her father is not really her father. Yep, it's real she was adopted. Skin. Formerly Gypsy Moth. Yes, this beautiful babe who appears in this book. Now, she, of course... Yeah, this is a quick guest appearance for her after she last appeared in Captain America Steve Rogers number 13. Her next appearance will be in Superior Octopus number 1. Yep, and then she popped up for a few issues of Spirit Spider-Man Volume 2, Unstoppable Wasp, and her last appearance was in Marv Voices Pride. You're thinking, wait, is she gay or bisexual? Oh, she's bisexual. Yeah, she filled this in the final issue of, that first era of X Factor. Typhoid Mary, a character who first appeared in Daredevil and is currently the wife of the Kingpin of Crime, and also the fact that his two sons are her stepsons. Yep. Now, her thing was basically, her two-part guest appearance here was basically following from appearance in Jessica Jones. Her next appearance will be in Despicable Deadpool number 297. Yes, Gary Duggan's fourth to last issue of his whole book. The Zappa brothers, who first appeared in pages of Moon Knight Volume 3. They, of course, basically, after Generation X number 7, will next appear in the non-stop Spider-Man miniseries. Well, this series, anyways. Yes. Which came out just a couple years ago. Actually, about 3 years ago now. But yeah, that was their last known appearance to date. Was that series? There's also Mandrill here. Yes, Mandrill. He is a guy with the face of a baboon. Yep. And after this appearance here, which seems kind of weird, he appeared in the Generation X, but it's a part of Socialite. Here's really weird about him. He appears 3 times after this book. 3 times. The final issue of Defenders, the final issue, Barbara Gomez' one for Iron Man, and Captain America Volume 9, number 11. And that came out, oh my gosh, like 4 years ago. Think is everybody? Well, there's also Black Tarantula. Yeah, he, after the events of Shadowland, he later on appeared in the pages of Captain America. Sam Wilson. Yeah, he appeared in that book as basically just trying to be a mentor to, I forgot his name. So basically, his next appearance right after this book, yeah, appeared after 512. He next appeared in the first issue of Deathlock, an issue of Power Man, which basically that was Power Man Volume number 2. After that, he later returned to Amazing Spider-Man, did the Contagion miniseries, and it popped up for one issue, Damage Control, and that's basically been it for him. Paladin, the hired mercenary. Yep. What did he do after this book? This is, of course, issue 7, the third to last issue of the volume. Yeah, his next appearance ran after this one-off appearance in the pages of Generation X, which seemed weird. Like, he appeared in this book. He appeared 2 more times after this. Doctor number 6 and Timeless number 1. The very first Timeless number 1. Tombstone. Of course, he recently appeared in the pages of his experiment dealing with the whole gang war stuff. But what did he do? Like, right after this issue here? Well, after this issue, he would also next appear in the pages of Despicable Deadpool. So 2 characters for Deadpool after this. And finally, Crossfire, Darian Cross's cousin. Yep. Yeah, a guy who was basically a Hawkeye villain. He first appeared in Marvel 252. He's basically like a C-list villain. Yeah. So, he last appeared in the final issue of Infamous Iron Man, and his next appearance will be in Invincible Iron Man number 594. His most recent appearance actually was in Avengers Volume 8, number 60. Yep. So yeah, after this party, then we lead into, well, then we deal with a story, then we go back to the Monette storyline. Yep, we go back to Monette, and basically her thing takes us the last few issues of the book. Yeah, where we have Omega who leaves the team. And they also mentioned in these later issues that also fighting Monette. or basically that about these later issues where, because this also was going on in the pages of Thor, where Quentin made a quick guest appearance in there, got the power of his Phoenix Force, and fought the Save the Shi'ar, and then he returned to this book, bragged about it, like, oh, that was 4 days ago. Like, you mentioned like a whole bunch that happened in the course of 4 days. And then later on, while they're fighting Emplate, who actually might not possessed by Emplate, her own brother is possessing her because, yes, Emplate had a fetish for possessing his own sister. So, throughout the final issues of this book, basically, Quentin McIntyre uses his Phoenix powers to revert Jubilee back to being a human with her original powers, the exploding fireworks powers. Also, she's also developed an attraction to Chamber, who has no mouth. Yes, seriously. And also, Emplate gets removed from his own sister, and him and DOA get sent back to the dimension. And if you're really curious, does Emplate ever appear again after this book wraps up? Well, after this book wraps up, he next appears in House of X number 5, appears in the issue of X-Men, the Hickman book. This was Gary Duggan's book. Hickman's book. One issue of Hickman's X-Men run. Issue of X-Force, and then he made most recent appearance in Dark X-Men number 5. As for DOA, does he appear again after this issue? No, this will be his final appearance to date. Yep, he is gone. Completely gone. By the time the final issue comes out. So, what happens to the team? You might be asking. Okay. Nature Girl is currently an anti-hero, going by Armageddon Girl, and she's lost her hair. Her beautiful hair that she had. Yep, and she's now a part of the X-Men Green stuff. Yes, for some reason, some idiot Marvel thought a good idea. Oh, let's not do some interesting with her. Let's make her to a environment. Let's make her to an eco-terrorist. Because right after this book wrapped up, here at Iceman. Let's see. After this, here at Old Man Logan, Slash the X-Men, First Mission Kenny, Age of X-Man. Throughout that book, some mission New Mutants, and now all she's doing now is digital stuff. So, her last physical comic she appeared in was New Mutants, Volume 4, number 18. Since then, basically, someone said, oh, let's make her interesting, but do something really dumb, putting her in the digital comic, do some digital stuff. Don't see them being publishing stuff. Hey, boy! What did he do right after this book wrapped up? Let's see. After this book wrapped up, he appeared also in a couple issues of Venomized, a couple issues of Man Logan, issue Iceman, the Domino Annual, a holiday special, the Age of X-Men Apocalypse, and the Extracts miniseries, issue of Kenny X-Men. He was also a primary character in the X Factor book, Volume 4. And when the book wrapped up, here in Trial of Magneto. And that was his last physical appearance. And he too got moved over to digital stuff for reasons. Yeah, and what about Hindsight? Well, him and Benjamin become a couple. Yep. They also this weird thing. One of them basically looked like they're about to spend the night with Quentin. Doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. Now, as for him, he of course would pop up in Old Man Logan, a couple issues of X-23 Volume 4, a holiday special, some Marvel Voices one-shots. He basically appeared in one-shots after this. Marvel Voices Pride, Before the Fall, Immune First Strike, and Marvel Voices X-Men number 1. And that was it for him. Morph. Yeah, this is the guy who ended up dating so he himself, after this book wrapped up, well, He did very little. He appeared in 2 one-shots, and that was it for him. Quentin. So what did he do once his book wrapped up? Let's see. When this book wrapped up, he later appeared in issue Old Man Logan, X-Men Gold. Then he became a member of West Coast Avengers, a book that was canceled because of a joke. Couple issues of Spirit Spider-Man, the Gwenpool Strikes Back mini-series from issue 3 to 5. And then he became a member of X-Force, while also appearing Wolverine as well. Does template says some Empire X-Men stuff, but mostly he was appearing X-Force because Ben Percy wanted him in X-Force. Back with various other books, and then he got killed off in Wolverine Volume 741. Yep, he actually got killed. Though he kind of made an appearance in, yeah, it's like, this is weird, where, like, he died in X-Men Volume 7, Wolverine Volume 741, and then he just gets to appear in our book to look like he's dead. Yes. Bling! Yes, the open lesbian character. Yeah, who apparently is in open relationship with Mercury. Yes. A relationship that barely is remembered by writers. So what did she do at the book wrapped up? Well, she also appeared in Old Man Logan, and she appeared in Age of X-Men Next Gen. Appeared in the Fallen Angels, a couple of the Fallen Angels book. Appeared in More Voices, X-Force, some X-Factor. Appearance like all over the place. And then she appeared in some digital stuff. Her last appearance day was actually in Hellfire Gala 2023. You know, the book that came out last year. Yep, that was her most recent appearance to date. Did she die? Because maybe that's the book? No confirmation about her death, but yeah, that was her last appearance day for her. Jubilee. Amazing character she is. What did she do once this book wrapped up? Well, once this book wrapped up with the final issue of the book, she appeared in Hunt for Wolverine, Mystery Manjapur, some X-Men Gold stuff, Ultimate, basically as sporadic stuff. She also was a regular character in X-Men Volume 5, basically throughout that book. Some Dim and Logan book, Age of X-Men Extremis. She was a regular character in Excalibur, while also appearing in X-Force as well. And when that book wrapped up, well, actually, she appeared in the rest of the book. She appeared in Knights of X, X-Terminators, some digital stuff, some Unforgiven one-shots, a lot of digital stuff. She died in the Hellfire Gala, but she kind of, in the way, made appearances in, like, X-Force, where it's like, it's probably just witnessing what happened in the main book. But she actually made a return. Yep, she got revived. This might have been killed during Hellfire Gala. She revived Dead X-Men miniseries. Well, they went to the future. As for Chamber, the guy who she was kind of butting around with and she was kind of in a relationship with, what did he do once this book wrapped up? Well, once this book wrapped up, he, of course, also appeared in Old Man Logan, issue of X-Men Gold, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, appeared in he was also a regular character in Kenny X-Men issues when Matthew Roswell wrote the book. Appeared in New Mutants. For some reason, he moved over there. some one-shots here and there. He was part of, the most recent was part with Legion of X. He was in that book. Some digital book. Last appearance, it was actually X-Men Before the Fall, Sons of X. And that was the last time he appeared. And that was almost a year ago. Yep. Oh, there's one X-Men I should talk about here. Husk, a.k.a. Cannonball's hot sister. Yep. At one point dated Angel, but then they broke up. And also Toad had a thing for her in Wolverine X-Men. Yeah, she was also paired in this book as well. What did she do once the book wrapped up? Well, she became a supporting character in the pages of X-Men Deadpool for a handful of issues, for a good period of time. A couple issues Next Gen, Fallen Angels for a couple issues, some House of X stuff, X-Force Destruction. Her last appearance that was not digital, because last appearance was a digital book, was Legion of X number 8. Yep, that was her last appearance to date. That's why our group known as the Legionnaires, which no has nothing to do with DC's book. Yep, that was the most recent thing she was part of. But what ranking do I give this book? I give this book a 9 out of 10. But my final thoughts on this book. Anybody reading this book can understand why the book got axed. The artwork for basically the quarter book was atrocious. Like, the problem with the original artist was the faces. Oh my gosh. Like, every single character had to be drawn like a horse. The only character this artwork wore for was Bling. That was, her face was perfectly fine. Everyone else looked like a freaking horse. Like, walking like, walking like this, tongue got talk like this. Yes, that is how the artists draw these characters. And out of all of the Resurrection X books, this was by far the book that had the worst artwork out of all the books. Now, I like Resurrection X. I thought it was a great idea for initiative. Didn't last very long? No, it lasted for like a year or two, and that was it. But this, by far, when it got canceled, it perfectly earned the cancellation. I mean, this book got canceled quicker than freaking Luke Cage. I think this was the first one that got canceled. Here's the thing. A lot of books, basically, when they renumber to their interpretation numbering, some actually last like a year. This book had the shortest period of time. This lasted for 3 issues, and then it got axed. Probably because basically the sales had slipped. I think maybe the sales got a little bit of boost thanks to the artist to 6 and 7, which I thought those two were the best drawn issues of this entire book. And think about it, this book lasted for technically 12 issues. But issues 10 to 12 were numbered to 85 87 for Marvel Legacy. Yep, that was the reason for it. Yep. But also, in my opinion, outside of the in-plate stuff, now I do appreciate the writer for wrapping up that story, because that was when Colin Bunn started with the whole thing of in-plate possessing Monette. And I'm glad that got wrapped up here. Now, that had been going for a little while, but not as long as Jubilee being a vampire. She was a vampire for, since this very book right here, X-Men Volume 3, Number 1. Thanks to a blood bomb. Yes, a fucking blood bomb. Yeah, it's like, okay, so, yeah, she's been a vampire since the start of the Cursed Mutant Story, which came out in 2010. So, Jubilee had been a vampire for 8 years prior to her going back to her normal powers. So, for 8 years, she was basically a vampire. And then she was back normal by the end of the book. My only guess is the reason why the writer did that, because maybe she was not a fan of her being a vampire, and this is probably her way, like, okay, so I'm going to wrap this book up. I know the book isn't canceled, so let's basically turn Jubilee back to being human, giving her back her original powers, and basically, and that was due to Phoenix Force, and also, like, I'm sure she probably she knew she probably had to continue the end plate stuff, and she probably knew the book was going to cancel anyway since he was associated with Generation X. Why not wrap it up in Generation X? Why not? Mana herself basically has done some stuff here and there since then. Of course, her brother himself has never seen much since then. Yes, Monette. Okay, before I end this video here, should reveal what exactly happened to her. What once this book wrapped up. Because I appreciate, though, in the last decade that there was a lot of development for this character. Because right after the final issue of Generation X came out, she got moved over to to Weapon X for some reason. And then once that book wrapped up, and then she appeared in King X number 10, appeared in House of X stuff, Empire X-Men. Appearance was very sporadic. She was never on an official team. Not really. She was technically X-Corps. And she's been a lot of time in digital books, Miss Marvel, Wolverine. It's like she's there as a guest star. She also got a part of the Uncanny Avengers book. Her most recent appearance was actually an issue of the current book for Black Panther. Yep. And the only reason why, because they mentioned her father. Ambassador St. Croix. Yep. And I appreciate, though, the fact that in the last 20 years, basically, they got a lot of development for the character. Because she's a beautiful woman, and she deserves it. Yep, so that's pretty much a particular view. I was going to 3, but I figured, though, why not just rest my voice for a bit? Because I've been talking, this video's going for almost 40 minutes to talk about this stuff. But, yeah, so next time will be Metal Heroes. And then my next comic corner, next video. Bye.